It's Mother Love coming to you live in living color from wherever you are. We can get connected. It is so wonderful to have you here with us today. And remember, you don't get a chance to listen to the show now. You'll get a chance to listen to the show whenever you want to. Okay, so that's what we want. That's what we're gonna be doing. There's some wild stuff going on. We got this crazy trial going on, and and just all kind of stuff going on in the USA. And in here too. Hello, how are you? There you are.
I'm doing great. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much. That's Mr. Kennedy for you. Anybody who does not know who that handsome fella is, that's Mr. Kennedy. And also my life mate. And there are so many things that are going on. I mean, when you look at the way everything is going in the economy and people are living longer, and people are starting to say, California is just too damn expensive to live here. Any place you go in America, we hear about high cost of rent and housing markets are, stumbling. Food is going through the roof. We went through that whole episode when this was after the pandemic, when they started charging us $12.99 for a dozen of eggs. I knew we were in trouble. And it just seems to be getting crazier and crazier, if you ask me. And when you think of, wait a minute, what's happening to my screen over here, baby? Why are you so tiny? Okay, there you go. I don't know where my face is.
Okay, there we are.
Oh, there we are. Hey, there we are, alone with you and I. Okay, so people have been talking about, we're at retirement. We're at that season point in our lives, and rethinking. Well, I'm rethinking, and I tell my husband all the time, I'm like, we really need to leave out of California. We can continue to grow our empire from any place with the advent of the internet. Yes. Okay, so then we started looking around, and looking back at it in retrospect, I have to say, I know that you wants me to be happy. And remember when we took the tour around America to see where we wanted to live, and I said I want to move to Virginia, not West Virginia, but to Virginia, where one of our nephews was in college, and they were like, no, don't even think about moving here. And we were on a groove. We were on our way because they were graduating from college. He and his friend, who is now his wife. So we went down to see them, watch them to the graduation, and we were telling them, I was saying how I wanted to move there, and it seemed so peaceful and so much less hectic than living out here in California, even though everybody says this is a laid back community. Okay, yeah, but when you got to get in a car to go to the grocery store, that's a pretty big area to cover. And so I said, well, okay, I think I want to move to Virginia. Our nephew said, tell them what happened when we were.
He said, you blink, you miss it. You miss the town.
And I was adamant. He was like, no, you don't want to live here. So then I said, okay. We had a good time down there during the graduation and met all kind of wonderful people from her family. So it was really, really a lovely affair. Okay, so then it hit me. I think I want to move to Arizona. Oh, no, I wanted to move to Georgia. I said, I want to move to Atlanta. And you said,
well, if you think about it, moving to Atlanta, once you leave Georgia, once you leave Atlanta, you're still in Georgia.
And
that's what I told you.
But no, say to the people the logic that you had behind that.
Your mouth would not be suitable for Georgia.
Now, how could you say that? That's like the Black Hollywood.
By telling the truth, shaming the devil, telling the truth. If we had moved and we had moved to Atlanta,
and Georgia.
Okay, because of how your colorful language, I would say, that would be a nice way of putting it, will probably not have suited well with the folks down there in Atlanta.
Well, they love me in Atlanta.
I didn't say they love you in Atlanta.
Love me in Atlanta. I know how to.
I said in the rest of Georgia. I said the rest of Georgia.
And then with all the crazy stuff that was going on in Georgia, you kept saying, when you leave Atlanta, you still in Georgia. I'm like, okay, but we've been to Athens, we've been to Atlanta, we've been to a bunch of places in Georgia. We were treated very well. So you talk about the people that don't want to get past the racist attitude and think that all Black people should be, watched at all times. See, and that's why I feel like I get off with that, because I'm not Black. You see Black in my shirt. I'm brown. I am the color burnt sienna. And so why would you want to just be labeled? What people want to label you how they present themselves, how you present yourself, and say, oh no, well, you can't, that can't be happening. Something must be wrong with you. And you well, I mean, I would have to, well, we don't, needless to say, we don't live in Atlanta and we don't live in Georgia, and we just go to visit. Yeah, because I probably would have, because first of all, I'm gonna tell you, even if I didn't live in her district, I wouldn't have got MTG, that crazy chick in the House of Representatives that want to get rid of the speaker. That crazy chick, she is that crap crazy. I don't care what y'all say. You could see so, and it's really hard to have to see a person and you know that they're soulless. You know that there's no beginning and no end to them. There's no, this is what I say and this is what I do and what I say is gospel. And I'm like, okay, but you wrong as two left shoes. Okay, so that might have got me in trouble. Okay. Maybe a couple of times. And I had to be, told that, okay, now mother love, now you can't, let me see what I can't do. This is what I'm going to do. No, you have to do this, that, and the third. And what do I tell them I'm going to have to do? I have to do this.
Stay black, pay taxes, and try to keep from dying.
Yeah, right. And two of them, I'm gonna, I'm working on that whole dying thing, and to pay taxes. And then we had that crazy guy who was the 45th president who said in front of everybody, poor people are stupid. And stupid people pay taxes. You're a loser if you pay taxes, but this is the same loser that want to drive on the same streets, ride on the same streets, going to be able to have the freedom to walk around wherever they go to. And they seem to act like, the America that we live in doesn't pertain to them really, and that they should be in this dictatorial spot because they know better than everybody. And I'm like, no, you don't know better than everybody, because when you don't take responsibility for your actions, and you don't own up to them, and sometimes it's an ugly own up to. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. And so I still said I wanted to move, but did you know that most people, especially at retirement age, don't have enough money to last them for however long they have in their lifetime? The powers that be are saying now that Social Security won't be viable by 2035. And you look at this, that's 11 years from now that you won't have the money to retire, but they say you can only work. Now they want you to work till you're dead and don't retire, just drop dead. And so I don't understand how our other American brothers and sisters, all of us in the United States of America, don't understand or don't get or don't want to get that we are in a very dangerous situation. Freedom and democracy is an experiment. And do we take 200 plus years of American of this experiment and just throw it away for a handful of people that think they feel like they should be able to rule the world? I'm asking you that, Mr.
Well, I say absolutely not. I mean, you know, people do things because they're upset or they want things to be the way they choose for them to be. And I mean, the founders that founded this country 400 years ago.
Has it been 400 already? Seems like 299. Okay.
Okay, well, 299. No, the fact that we try to say, okay, we're basing everything on what somebody was thinking 400 years ago, as though they could have possibly knew what was going to be happening today. I mean, nobody anticipated we would have a crooked president, or that we would have someone who would do unlawful things while they were in office.
And tell
I
you,
mean, the Constitution did really put a lot of string holes or attachments to the presidency because they were not anticipating at that time somebody being so unscrupulous as we found out to be.
okay,
I mean, that's the reality that we find now.
There's a part in the Constitution that says we are not a dictatorial, totalitarian democracy. That was the
Yes.
reason for leaving Mad King George in England, for people to come over here, and he was like, "Oh, go over there and do whatever it is
Well,
you want."
you don't want another king here.
Right, and
That's
that's
why we
what I'm
make.
saying. They didn't want another king. They didn't want to have that kind of aristocracy, over them to rule them in the United
But now
States.
we're being asked to have one now.
Right.
That no, let's make a
But they
king
said
here.
in the
We
Constitution,
don't call him a king; they call him a dictator. It's a
Right, that's
difference.
what he's trying to be a dictator, and he's not. Well, he's good at it for a big chunk of the country, but there's what 325, 335 million people in the United States.
Yes.
Okay, so I mean everything from calling the elections rigged, and I guess they keep beating this dead horse. They keep beating this dead horse. Why would you want a dead horse to be over your to be governing you? And these are the people that
I
you.
mean, with both. I mean, unfortunate part. I mean, with both parties, we chosen to take two senior citizens, not early seniors, senior citizens, both going into their 80s and saying that they
Well,
think
President
that
Biden is I think he just had a
yes,
birthday. He's 81.
yes, okay, but the fact that we're looking at, I said senior
Hmm.
citizens, not just seniors, but senior citizens,
Hmm.
because at 80 and you're trying to run this country, run what's happening around the world,
Hmm.
you know, will you really be effective? And even if we think that they will be effective, are we better situated by having someone younger that thinks that, I mean, nothing against either one, but the fact that they're old.
Well, I got
When
something.
I said, I mean, there's a lot of things that you can find that you can talk about because one versus the other, one evil being less than the other evil. Some people say have but one person is not talking about becoming a dictator. One of them is.
And he telling
The-
you, when I get back in the White Office, I'm going to be your retribution. He has not said one thing that he would do for the betterment of the American people. It's just like I'm gonna get y'all back for this. And he's like a petulant child, and you got all these people that are sucking up to his butt and carrying on, and acting like this is the be all do all see all of our democracy. And either I'm crazy, or maybe we all a little bit touching
we
our.
all a little crazy,
Yeah, but
but
I'm just
even being a little crazy is not all bad. But the fact that we are not looking out for ourselves as a country. I mean, with all the political things that are happening around the world,
mhm.
it's not some easy to say, well, you know, this may not. I mean, with all the stress, I mean, if you look at every person who's been president previously, how much they age
Oh
just in the
yeah,
4 years that they're in office. I mean, are
boy,
we really wise to want to put either one of them in office? I mean, it's not like I mean, unfortunately, with the system that we don't have enough options to say, okay, well, now can we all of a sudden have a write-in candidate or a third-party candidate that can honestly, truly win an election? There's no
see, I'm
third-party
glad that you said that.
candidate.
Honestly, to feel that could rule the country, that could govern the country, not rule but
Yes.
govern the
I
country.
mean, yes, that's what I meant. Govern the I mean, we have no third-party candidate that is viable to become president. I mean, so that's a shortcoming on us as Americans that we limit ourselves to just two choices.
Yeah, I
That
agree.
that that we don't have a third option that's actually
Or a
viable. I
fifth
mean,
option, give us something to choose from. It's like going into the grocery
well,
store.
you do have something to choose from, just either A
Right,
or B. That's
right.
it. And
Either
and
you get
and
a
I'm saying,
generic can or you get the can with the label on it
when
and
I'm
the
saying
good
is that when
label
I
on it.
look at what is being offered to us, and I'm saying I look at their age and whether people like it or not. They are seniors. I mean, if I was asked to retire at 65, you are asked to retire at 65. But then we're saying that the president has no age limit in a sense.
Well, see, I kind of think that's kind of crazy too. But then is that rallying against ageism? Okay, just because he's
Me
81.
mean a rally against age or discrimination against someone being older. I mean, one breath. No, I mean we have all these different categories. You can't discriminate against this. You can't discriminate against that. I mean, so that's one of the reasons why they're able to still run at the age that they are, because we're saying you can't discriminate against this person running if they choose to run and if you have
Because of
enough
their
people
age.
backing them.
Well, that's why they take your driver's license away and your driving privileges when you get to a certain age. And
Well, that was for sure safety because it made
right,
sense.
it does, and that's for everybody's safety. And I do think it should be not only an age limit, when you're getting into the race, because I mean, I'm just surprised that that President Biden is holding up as well as he is, and then the doctor who examined the 45th guy said he is in the best shape of his life. Now, I don't know about you, but I know a whole big thing or 12 about being a morbidly obese person. And you could see the stress on his body. You could see how his neck skin is thinning out. It's like he can't even stay awake at his own trial. So that's a sign. I mean, when you're not
Well, I mean, no,
exercise,
he said that. Wait a minute. Then he said that he was so fit. If you're so fit, you can't even stay awake and your own trial that may where you may possibly go to prison. And but you're physically fit. I mean, sometimes we have to kind of look at the tea leaves the way they're really been brewed and say,
mhm,
hey, it shows that if he can't even stay woke in here, and he's talking about how cold it is in there. Okay, you are old now. You don't need
yeah.
to be in office. You're old. Biden is old. I've said this before. We as Americans should have had another option that we could have been able to choose.
Okay, but
But we keep this two-party system like it is,
okay,
and
but
we
look,
keep saying it's the best.
when they first started coming out, all these different people said they were going to run for president.
Yes.
One by one, they were shot down by something that the 45th said or did or whatever. It was like, what, 12 of them in there, and he's the only one left standing?
Well, I mean, wait a minute, but that wasn't him. That wasn't him as much as it was the voters, Republican voters, who chose not to vote for any of these other candidates. Now, they had every chance. They could have voted for Nikki Haley, for instance. They could have voted for her and more, and they still have voted for her even in some of the primaries, even after she's dropped out. So that's another thing that's quite interesting. That a lot of even Republicans think, well, maybe he's not just the right guy.
No. He was, I mean, you
Mm.
saw the damage that was done by him and how he mocked Gold Star families and people with disabilities. And, he's even said publicly that, he could grab a woman by her private parts and stick his tongue down their throat because I just love women like that. I see, no. And for them to be sitting up in there, and I saw this woman, she had to be like in her mid-40s. Well, I can't tell because they all look like they need iron and need some color in their pigment in their skin. And she said, and one of the guys, I'm gonna call his name. He cracks me up. He's the one that goes to the mega events and get their take on it. And I would pre-venture to say he's just asking people, to think about this person and think about what they're doing. And this woman said, well, it wouldn't bother me if he came and grabbed my, SSY. And her husband was standing right there next to her. And he was like, oh, I wouldn't mind. So you wouldn't mind a man that you don't know to come over and grab your wife's genitalia, and you all right with that? Really? This is what's in your head? That you all right? Listen, I'm going to tell you a little secret about me and Mr.
Well, I would be in jail.
Oh, he just cut to the chase. You just cut to the quick. I was gonna tell him a story. Okay, but that's what.
Okay, Xavier Watkins just said hi, mother love.
Hey, Xavier, how are you, baby? I
I
hope
mean,
you.
what do they? I mean, we think about it. I mean, we don't have. I mean, unfortunately, we have no other. We don't have other options unless something would
You
happen to
don't.
one of
We
the
got
two
options.
candidates.
Women
No, we
from
don't. No, we do not. Be
Robert F.
realistic.
Jr. is put.
I
He's
said, be
doing his better.
realistic.
What?
Be realistic. We don't
What?
have an option. It's either one or the other now. Unless something should I mean, now, the unfortunate thing is something actually happened to one of them. Both of them are at that age. There's something, I mean,
They
not
could stroke
planned.
out, and he could stroke
Could
out at
happen.
any minute, eating all that fast food that he eats.
Well,
He can't
all
even
I'm saying is that
get it out
the
really big.
possibility is there.
Right.
Not that it would happen,
I mean, you think
but
about
the
it.
fact that it might.
I don't know. I don't know if their family has a long history of longevity, but it seems like like in my family, people were dying earlier than that I ever anticipated, and so because he doesn't take care of himself, because he doesn't exercise, because he doesn't, he considered golf an exercise, but you riding around in a golf cart. You get out, you go hit the ball, you get back in the golf cart. Where you getting exercise from? Just swinging at the little ball?
Well, I mean, it's movement. It's not enough movement.
It's better than nothing.
But the fact that I mean, we set ourselves up. for
Mhm.
failure, and the fact that we only have two candidates that we have to choose from. That we've not built a third party to
Well,
give us,
right.
I mean, and that's us
Well,
as
what happened to the
Americans.
Green Party?
I mean, okay, I said
That's the environmentalist people.
another option. There's not enough people who believe in the Green Party for that Green Party person to become president, though.
Well,
So even though you have a Green Party, you
mhm.
have several other smaller groups. They're so small that none of them could actually become president. So
Well,
basically, we still stuck with the two. And I mean, for as much as people talk about it, do you want what's best for America, or you only what's best for your group?
right. And that's what they seem like. They only want the best for their group. And, and the Environmental Protection Agency, which they want to get rid of if they get back in the office. And we see the damage that global warming is doing. I mean, we got massive fires and awful floods happening on a regular basis. I mean, who has a tornado in New York? Didn't they have a tornado in New York?
No,
And
an earthquake in New York, actually, and New
still,
Jersey. It was in New Jersey. I take
the
that back.
earthquake
New
happened in
York.
New Jersey. Okay.
I stand corrected. It was across the water. It
Mhm.
was in New Jersey, and no, but they felt it in New York City.
Okay, that was an earthquake. You have nothing to do with that. The natural disasters, we're aiding and abetting to that too because of the fossil fuel and the coal that they keep burning and burning. They even got a commercial on that said, all of these products that you're using, you need coal and you need oil. Okay, but then when the young people and these well, not explorers, the ones that create stuff, these scientists that are creating ways and saying, okay, well, we could do this or we could do that. I mean, I remember Vice President Al Gore wrote a book, a national best, and if I'm not mistaken, I think he won an Academy Award for it. Pardon the confusion, whatever it was, talking about the global warming and the global climate. And then remember, Chernobyl had a big meltdown. Okay.
But that was man made. Wait a minute, that was man made. They say it was an accident, and I buy that it was
Yeah,
an
I think it
accident,
was an I don't think
because they
anybody
didn't
trying to
intend for
poison
that to
Chernobyl.
happen, because it irradiated the land and can't be used for like say something like 3,000 years, or some uh crazy number of years, that it won't be able to be honestly used. But then they're saying different mutations come from that,
Right.
you know. And so
That's why
we
I
have
think
to.
that's why I think they, so fast and furious about the, discovering things. And can life be on Mars? Can life be on Jupiter? Because we liable to blow this one up, so we got to have a place to go, and it won't be on planet Earth. And when you look
Well,
at
I agree with that, though. Now, I do agree with that. I mean, I do believe that space exploration is necessary. I mean, we're not the only beings in this solar system. We're not. I mean,
well,
whether we want to believe that or not, we're not.
I believe that, I believe that the universe is full of energy. It's full.
Of other beings besides just
Right.
humans.
And you can't, that you can't, man can't pull the sun up and the moon up and then watch the sun go down. All of that's through the universe and the energy. And the fact that they're seeing uh these massive floods and all these horrible things are happening. A little boy I hope that he is going to pull through. Little boy got swept up down a storm drain, and they found him. Thank God he was still alive, and I hope that he will thrive and do well. And we act like, oh, that's no big deal to us. It ticks me off that, especially people of color. Well, that's not my problem. That's white people problem. Okay, so now you going by the Herschel Walker, the good air and the bad air, and then we're gonna take the good air over here and mix it with the other good air, and the bad air can just stay up. Really? This really, I mean, they don't want to think logically, maybe because it's too much, and that's why we have leaders and we have followers, and there are far more followers than there are of leaders. And some of these people are leading people off of a cliff. And so what if they fall? Okay, it's not my fault they stupid. Okay, so what, they want to give me all of their
Okay,
retirement.
but they're not stupid, because believing in you is not being stupid. It's believing in you. Now, if you let somebody down, that's you letting them down. It's not their fault for believing in you. I mean, because there's nothing wrong with being inspired by someone else. To believe that somebody
What
by looking
inspires
at
you
seeing somebody.
evil?
First of all, I mean, you're not gonna always be inspired. The only body will ever inspire you is gonna be somebody good. I mean, that would be fantastic. The believe that that's the only body that can inspire you is somebody good. But unfortunately, there are people who are inspired by evil people and people that are meant
That's
to
how them drug
that.
cartels get these young kids and get them in there and tell them, I'll take care of you. Don't worry about your mama. We'll take care of your mama and your sister and your brothers. You just do the running for me. Getting young girls in desperate situations, having them swallow them those pill bags, and then they wait till they pass it out in their stool, and then they don't care nothing about that. You don't know what kind of cricky people got on inside of their bodies, and you taking this, and then you're gonna push it. It's been through another human being's body with this plastic, and some of them have actually lost their lives because maybe
The
the
bed broke
what
or something.
right,
I mean, which would be an accident,
and
but
that's helping
but
somebody into
you don't recover from that particular
no,
accident.
no. And they, even when they're pregnant, they say, oh, this won't bother you, and it's fail safe. All you got to do is just have all of these down in your system, and when you get to America, we'll help you. We take you to a doctor, and he'll help get them out and make you poop so they'll come out. They have no any problem filling up these big tanks, these big trucks that you see the waste disposable companies coming around to get them, like out of the when they go to concerts and ball games, and they got the porta potties and what have you, and they go pick them out. And I'm like, people are getting really desperate because they want to be able to eat. People are getting really desperate because they deserve to have a house over their head. They deserve to be able to live in peace. We're not going to be here forever, but these marks that we're leaving on the world could be foreverly. I like that word. It's forever, embedded in my spirit, seriously, because it bothers me that people are not paying attention to their own well-being. I mean, we saw
Well,
these
I
people
mean,
from
first
MAGA.
of all,
Wait a minute, let me finish. From MAGA saying, "Oh, I don't care. I don't like President. Or I don't like Obama. They don't even want to give him the respect to call him President Obama, former President Obama. But they want to call the 45th. Oh, he's the president. No, we got one president at a time. Don't get it twisted. And it's like they're like this. They look at tunnel vision. They don't see anything past, out of the peripheral left, peripheral right. It's just whatever I see, that's what I'm going to believe. And it cuts people off from knowledge, and they rather be led than to take responsibility. And when you saying, when the lady said, I just hope she didn't have granddaughters and nieces and girlfriends, because you think it's all right for a grown man to come and pull on your private parts. You got this guy, and they got pictures. I couldn't make it up, with his young teenage daughter sitting on his lap between his legs. Now, I was a teenage girl, and I know when you sit on a man's lap what that means. And she sit on her father's lap. This man has said publicly, if she weren't my daughter, I would date her. Now, I don't know how
well,
much more progressive
morals and
you get.
scruples. What
Oh
kind of
my,
morals do you have?
you don't
What
have
kind
any
of
more
scruples do?
scruples, and so does a lot of people
Okay,
that
you
follow him.
say don't have, but it doesn't seem to matter. I mean, just like we have one group, the Christian, right, saying that we don't care what he do. If he do what we want, then we overlook all the other sins.
We'll overlook the
What
91
is
fellowship.
that a good way to
No,
govern by saying I don't care the other sins that you may commit, as long as you help me and the cause that I'm concerned about? I mean, that's a dangerous situation when you say you don't care about the situation at hand. All you care about is the fact that you
an
get
individual.
what you want.
And do they really get what they want? I mean, I was listening to them scream and holler about, I can't stand Obama. I can't stand his wife, and saying all these vicious, vile things, and they still come up strong because they don't even understand what goes through in our marriages, and don't understand the steadfastness that we have. And for them to say, oh, well, I don't care what he did. Okay, well, we're trying to appeal. It's really the Affordable Care Act, the ACA. But everybody who does not want to acknowledge that, they named it the Affordable Care Act. and all these naysayers said, "Oh, well, I don't care about Obamacare." Okay, do you realize that's how you get health insurance? That's when you say Obamacare, you are saying the Affordable Care Act. Okay, you're not saying you hate Obama. And what my Social Security? That's what I live on. They want to repeal your Social Security. So in 2035, it'll run out. And if you're still living in 11
It
years,
won't run out.
I hope not.
It's not.
And a lot
Well, I
of it
mean,
is
with
scary.
2035, we won't be here, even if it did. But
Oh,
I
how do
don't
you
think.
know? That's only 11 years away. I plan on living to
Wait a
400.
minute, wait a minute. You got to count again. 11.
If this is
The century
2020,
just started.
this is 2024.
4.
A century has 100 years. This is 2024. We're 24 years. I mean, we're into the 20.
24 years into this century.
Oh, okay, so in the 11 years, you put 24 and 11. That's 35 years. You don't think you'll be able to be here for the? Well, you always say you're gonna outlive me.
Yeah, I'll probably be here.
That's 11.
I probably will.
Remember my apron. Just
You
remember.
gonna poison me so I won't be here?
That
Okay,
was
now see
an
that's going on
inside
record.
thing. Why
Everybody,
you just have
everybody
to
know
put it
that.
all out there in
It's
the
out
world?
there on record. Now,
Ow!
if I get poisoned, we know we already know the first suspect. If I get poisoned,
I'll cut
I'm
somebody.
just saying, if I should get poisoned,
If you
we
were gonna
gotta
get
know the
poisoned,
first
you'd have been
suspect.
poisoned a long time ago. That just sounds
Well,
crazy.
you may have been waiting for a special occasion.
No. Well, this is my special occasion. I think I'm going to poison my husband because it's a day of brevity and fall to run fiddly dee and we'll just. So what did you do, mother? Oh, girl, I poisoned my husband. They look at
Well,
me
well,
like,
see, it's just like wait a minute. Now, I mean, this is not changing subject, but it's part of the subject. Okay, this a U.S. soldier, is in Russia. He's being detained now because
but
he beat up his girlfriend. Okay, now we know we're having enough issues with Russia as it is. Why would any sane
soldier.
American want to even travel to Russia right now? I mean,
Well, maybe
no.
is his girlfriend Russian?
Well, he attacked her in Russia.
Oh well, they
Okay,
don't
he
say
was
that
in
to
Russia. He didn't
women.
think about, okay, well, wait a minute. Maybe this ain't the best place in the world to jump on my girlfriend.
No
Maybe I
place in
should wait until we get across the border. If I
no.
just had to do something crazy like that, maybe it'd be better if I waited until I crossed the border. I
That
mean,
really.
any excuse to be detained by Russia right now means that you're gonna be a bargaining chip to get someone else out of jail or released that would not have been if you had not been captured. So,
Well,
so being going over there and getting captured, and then putting the pressure on the United States to say, "Bring me home by any means necessary." Or a lot of times that means releasing somebody who's really a bad person.
like they did before they let go of some
Yes,
mass murderer and
yes.
some kind of a prison exchange between the U.S. and Russia. You know,
Because the pressure is being put on America. Let's say it doesn't matter what they did, as much as it matters that they're an American to start with,
and
and
they're
be,
in Russia.
and so because we're sworn enemies of Russia, which I remember I mentioned to you on another telecast, is that why do we grow up being taught to hate somebody we don't even know, and we
Control,
fall into believing that we should hate somebody that we don't even know. We were
control.
we were raised we were raised during our childhood to think that the Russians was horrible, terrible, and it was going to cause the next world war, and it's going to be this radiation that was going to destroy the world with all these nuclear bombs being dropped.
Right.
Or so why would we want to do anything that would enhance bringing somebody and leadership that might want to do something like that?
I mean, when you hear all the crazy that's going on and retribution, I'm going to get back at you and I'm going to dump out the hot stuff. What didn't he campaign on, like clearing the swamp or draining the swamp?
Yeah,
And
what he did
swamp got bigger
he been pumping more water in the swamp than
and
draining
it's
the swamp.
dirty water. And
Well, you
and
know,
throwing everybody up under the bus who was there to support him. And now they see where he is. And I just think, I think we're better than this. I think we're smarter than this.
we're supposed to be better. We
Right.
we should be smarter.
and to
No,
just
will we be smarter? Will
they
we be
kicked
better?
wait a minute, what's the kid's name that kicked out of the one that lied about his parents, his grandparents being, survivors of the
Okay, okay,
Holocaust?
okay. We're like,
What's his
okay,
name?
yes.
Yeah, that guy. And now he done told all these lies like every day. And the 45th is, and he lies every minute, and people don't see anything wrong with that. And it's just
So
being
you
so
don't see
hypocritical.
anything wrong
Why
with
is
it
it
if
good
you
for him
choose
but not
not to.
good for you?
You only choose not to see it if you because you're saying by any means necessary, I want this person to be in office. So I'm gonna have blindness when it come down to all the things that should normally disqualify any candidate, no matter who
And
you,
never be allowed
what
to run for
party,
any public
well, no
office.
matter what party, the fact that you should sit back and say, no, this is not the right person for us. Simply, it's not the right person for the United States. And you're talking about we haven't been a moral uh,
Compass.
compass for the world. How can you do that if you put someone in like that and then say at the same and out of the same breath, but we are the moral compass. We want to hold other countries accountable for them mistreating people in their country.
But look
Look
at
in the mirror first.
what.
Before you go trying to tell somebody else in their country what they're doing wrong, maybe lift the mirror up and say, "Wow, what are we doing here in America?" It's one of the things you
Or what we're not doing.
are
What are we
not doing. Now,
you
you remember one of the things you mentioned just the other about the millions and millions of dollars that we
send
appropriate
overseas
for other countries
and we
that
can't
are our allies. Now
right.
we can write it. We can come up and appropriate billions of dollars to help our allies. But then when we talk about programs here in America, we're quick to say, well, we ought to cut this program, we ought to cut that program. And knowing if you cut a program, you're putting thousands and thousands of people at risk of succumbing to something. Whatever program you cut, they could become
And if you gotta
susceptible of becoming homeless. They could be
right,
susceptible, of becoming a drug addict. That you
drug
trigger these
this and
things, and
that.
then we say, well, now look at the crime rate.
Mhm.
Well, the crime rate most of the time is associated with how many people are employed. The
Right.
more people that are employed, the less folks have to be out
Let's
there getting in the devil because they got someplace to be 8 hours a day.
right. And I think that, putting the arts back into the school system, will help a lot of these young people get that creative and all that energy and put it in some place, put it in a place where they can be viable,
Maybe
productive.
might do a whole lot for the taggers. Maybe they could
Right.
have a
They are
they
so
could have an art gallery.
man.
No, no,
These
maybe they could
people,
have truly. I mean, why not have an art gallery for taggers?
and a lot of them are
I
really,
mean,
really
because they're quite talented. There's no doubt. The majority of them are truly talented young men
sick.
and women too. I mean, I haven't actually seen any women out there tagging,
Oh,
but
I've seen women out there tagging, and
I've
they're
not
really creative.
I've only seen guys out tagging. But I'm saying, but the fact that on how straight their lines are, how they do the right colors,
Right.
they do have talent. And
And I
maybe it's about time if somebody, if I had the money, I would set it up. I would have a museum for the taggers
mhm,
so
that's
that
a
people could
good
actually come
idea.
and see their work
They're so
because
talented.
some of them make some out of this world signs,
Mhm. They
but
got
they're doing it in the wrong place. We need outlets for them to go. There should
exactly.
be big boards out, out somewhere in the desert where if you want to be a tagger, you can ride out there, no charge, spray paint to your
Oh,
heart content.
you got a plan for the taggers. Yeah,
Yes, I
I'm
mean if
watching.
you don't have a plan, they're gonna keep spraying where they're spraying now. So
I,
give them some place to go. Let them showcase their talent. I mean, they are talented. Most of them are truly talented. They
they
just
really
are.
are. And I was trying to tell you this. I've been watching on these young guys on and there's a few young girls on there too,
Yes.
on TikTok, and
Yes.
they I mean they are just brilliant. These artists are just so amazing. One guy, he does everything with pencil. Another does everything with charcoal. Another does everything with like the colored pens and what have you. I mean, and the detail and the vibrancy of their work
Well,
is just
see, but then that's an artist. That's an artist
right.
who knows how to put something down on the canvas that will attract your attention. Attract you to wanting it, to willing to purchase it.
Hmm.
That does matter.
Right.
but having a museum for the taggers, I think would be a brilliant. I would like to try to head that up to get a building that we could actually house. You know,
Well, there's another assignment put on the plate. Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. That sounds like more work for me. You know, what are you doing? That's out of my wheelhouse. So I'm just saying, because I do come up with brilliant ideas and you do go for them and carry it on.
Mhm.
So so let's we're talking about everything that's going over here in the United States. And and everybody wants to be in like these clusters. We were reading this article today. It was on Yahoo News, and it said that they did a top 10 list of the most dangerous states here in America. The most dangerous states. Colorado came in at number 3. I'm just going to run them down to you. New Mexico,
Okay.
this is from the 10 up to the first one.
Okay.
Missouri, California, we number 9 on the list of 10. Oregon,
Well, but that's a good thing.
wait a
We're
minute,
at the end versus at the
it's picking
beginning.
up 10. That's like a
Okay,
big
when it's
percentage.
from 1 to 10, so
Let me
one
finish.
being the best
Let
to
me
10
finish
being the
the list.
worst.
Can I finish the list? You gonna let me finish the list?
Yes.
Okay. Missouri is number 10, California number 9, Oregon number 8, Alaska. I would have never thought Alaska was a dangerous state to live in. Tennessee, I could get some of that.
Tennessee whiskey.
No, this the state of Tennessee, not the whole Jack Daniels family. Washington, Arkansas, Colorado is number 3, Louisiana is number 2, New Mexico is number 1. And I mean, it's just amazing to me that we have allowed this much damage to come out. And the biggest thing in Colorado is property crimes. It was named the third most dangerous state in the United States. Okay, but if it's the third most dangerous United States,
Yes.
how are they gathering this data? Okay, and it's the third most dangerous, and it's the 16th best state overall. Now, how you gonna be number 3 on the list? And they saying this is one of the best states. They have the highest property crime rate in the whole country, 3,148 cases per 100,000 people. The only other state that recorded more was Washington with 3,356. That's like what, 8 per 100,000 people?
Yes.
And people, these kids, well, this has been going on for quite some time. Oh, you got something, you got a nice car. You don't deserve a nice car. I'm going to steal your car. I'm going to sell it. And then your insurance rate goes up. And it's just, people are being so greedy and feel like they're entitled to so much, but they don't want to get up and go do the work. We're here
Well, I
about,
mean, the unfortunate part, now we've raised a whole generation on me, 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 me. A generation.
yeah.
So when they grow up and they're actually in charge and they're only thinking about me, 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 what happens to all the other we's out
Well,
there in the world?
that's not my problem to be worried about that. You go over there and do your thing over here, and I'll go over here and do my thing, and I'll become a car thief. I'll become a drug dealer. I'll do all of this stuff. Anything where I don't have to be held accountable for my actions.
But you have to stop and think about it. Even though you may do all these things, you still got to come back home.
Well, yeah. And it's home is different. I mean, it has really changed so much since we've been on the planet.
I mean, when we talk about the prison population and how it's getting larger and larger, but then we got to be willing to talk to our kids as kids and tell them we don't want them to go to prison. That's
Right.
not something that mama or daddy wants you to do. And a
You
lot
got
of times
it's
we
setting
don't.
an example. Women, it's setting an example for your children.
I mean that is the most best.
I never saw my mother, any of my aunties, my grandmother, anybody, even if they even did some bad stuff, they had to go to court for the judge and say you got 2 choices. You could go to jail or you could go into the military. So my thing was, so you passing the problem off from out of this family and out of this community, and you send it over to the Air Force, Army, Navy, Coast Guard, wherever it is, so they get the problem instead of addressing what the issue is when they're young. And you cannot start parenting your child when they're 15, 16 years old and expect them to have any respect for what you have to say because you said nothing. You've allowed them to sit in front of a computer, on their phone constantly, and you're not engaging with your children. And they're talking about how
I mean, but think about
let
it.
me finish this one. How the children are becoming so toxic because of the negative energy around them coming from their parents, and kids don't know how to deal with adult issues. Shoot, it's a lot of adults that don't know how to deal with adult issues. When you're running around, you don't hear kids talking about infidelity. They don't even know what marriage is. So why would they even know what infidelity is? And so you got to see
Well,
it.
that's one of the things, classes that could be taught. See, part of this, if you don't want some certain things to happen in life, sometimes it bears well to talk about it, to teach alternatives in school, because that's where your captive audience, 5 days a week. I mean, we have to take advantage of
But
it,
what
and
about
we
wait a minute?
can't.
But what about the other 2 days? What about the
You
responsibility?
go to church on
Wait a
Sunday,
minute.
you have
What if they
Saturday to
don't go to
rest.
church? Everybody don't believe in God. Everybody got a
Okay,
different religion,
but
a
that could
different
be
way
the
of
part of the
worshiping.
problem.
Why is that the problem? Oh, so you think it should only be one religion? It should only be. You sound like one of them old antiquated crazy men talking about
No,
it should only be one. How you? But you just sat there and said that. You just sat there and said, well, maybe it should only be one. If they go to church, what about the people that go to temple? What about the people that go to mosque? What about the
that's
people
a
that go to
church.
hall?
That's a church.
That's
That
not a
is a
church.
church.
It's a temple and a mosque and the
Okay,
kingdom hall.
okay, it's
You can't
still a
make it be
church.
what
It's
you
still
do.
it's a
It's not.
place
It's
of
not as a
worship.
place of worship, and we Christians call it the church. Our Jewish friends call it the temple. Our Muslim friends call it a mosque. Our Jehovah Witnesses attend the Kingdom Hall. So, and to say that it should only be one, what was the whole purpose of coming to America and starting this experiment of democracy, that people from all different nationalities and religious faith and different cultures can all live together in peace? And then they want to come over and they want to come to America. This is what I don't understand. They want to come to America. They get the kids, they put them on cardboard, whatever they got to do. They learn to swim. They get them over here to America, get them over here to America. But they still want to hold on to their ways from wherever they came from. I mean, a lot of people in the Muslim community abroad believes that, and even here, believe that women shouldn't be going outside by themselves. You do not go out unaccompanied, not accompanied by a male in your family. But what if they, that's just what if, what if they just, like they
Okay,
like
but you look about the
like
single
they think
the
themselves.
single family homes here in America. How would that work?
It's single
If it's
family
if it's
homes
single
around the
family
world.
home, okay. If there's no man in the house, then what?
What do you mean then what?
Okay, I said with half the country, kids are being raised by single families. If
Hmm.
they were Muslim and you needed your brother, your husband, or your uncle or your
But you just said
nephew,
they didn't have a man in the house. Now you done just rattled off the top
and,
five.
and I said, if you did not have these, what would you do as a woman?
I
Would
don't know.
you?
I've never been a Muslim, so I mean, that's how they feel, and that's how they want to, dictate. It's like the people here decided, what if you come over here, you got to strip all of your everything down like they did the slaves during the transatlantic slave trade. You don't need to know anything. Just get on the. Let me put you in these shackles. You're gonna be buck naked, stacked in like a bunch of sardines, and if you make it, you make it. But for the ones that did make it over here, I don't know if you know this, but way back in the slavery days when they were doing all of this, and we still got slaves going on now. Let's not be stupid and think it's just gone. They would take the people from Africa when they would put them on the auction block, and the slave masters would come over and lick them. And I'm like, why would you go lick a person?
Okay, but that was
Let me finish. They would lick them. And they said the ones that tasted the saltiest, they knew would be the hardest workers because they made it during the transatlantic slave trade. Some of them just went overboard and they just, or they died on the ring and they just unhooked that part of the ring, just threw them overboard for shark bait. Oh, this is talk
I
about.
mean, well, that's the unfortunate part. I mean, of what happened to a lot of people, on that journey. I mean, there's horrible things that have happened to all races,
Right.
and when
All
you
humans. We're
are
human.
human beings, and that we have to understand that it's not just an isolated incident. Maybe your atrocity wasn't as outrageous as mine, but an atrocity is still,
Is
when
an
you harm
atrocity. I
somebody,
mean,
it's still bad,
and you
regardless.
and you think when World War II was going on, and we had uh, pretty decent, sizable, even though it was in a smaller group of
Yes.
Japanese people that came to the country, and they weren't bothering anybody. They wanted the American dream that's turned into a nightmare for a lot of people, unfortunately. They just rounded them all up, just like Hitler did the Jews. I'm gonna tell you what, I'm gonna blame this on. I'm gonna blame it on the Jewish people, and that's the one thing I couldn't understand about Germany and the Holocaust and Hitler hating Jewish people. And saying that only white.
Because you needed.
Well, let me
Um,
finish. Quit cutting me off. What is wrong? Okay, when they were over there and they rounded them all up, took all the stuff they worked for, took their bank accounts, their homes, the artwork, the extensive art collections, and said, you can only be you have to be white, blue-eyed, and blonde hair, and that way we know you're pure. And every time I saw a picture of Hitler, he had dark hair and a little tiny funny looking mustache like one of the Marx brothers. I'm like, y'all really take this guy serious? That just goes to show you how so many people are.
he was charismatic.
No, I thought it's crazy. Do you want to
Oh,
call that charismatic?
I mean,
Well,
he still was charismatic, a crazy
most
charismatic
dictators, you're
person.
right. Most dictators are charismatic. You think about Jim Jones and all the people drinking the Kool-Aid because he said do it, and we're gonna all go to heaven together. Y'all were all dead together. It's just the people seem like, okay, well, they said this, so I believe them. But is that what you see? No, but I don't want to have to think about it to, have a different attitude about it or have my own opinion of it. They say that this is what it is, and I believe what it is. And even when you get the proof in front of you and they say, okay, this is what you've done, this is what you're being charged with, this is what you've done, and this is what we're bringing you on the carpet for. We want to hear your part of it. And you just keep creating a world of lies, 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 lies. I'm surprised half of the Republicans' head ain't fall off. Now then they want to talk about the Democrats. Oh, President Biden, he do this and he do that. He can't do this, he can't do that. I saw this one the other day. It just cracked me up. It said a picture of the 45th, and
Yes.
it's up above, and then you can see a picture of the president,
Yes.
and it says, yeah, I got 81 years behind me, but he got 91 criminal charges ahead of him. And I was like, ooh, dang. Am I boring you? You just keep yawning?
No, no,
Are you
no.
tired?
Yes.
Oh,
I mean, I just a rough night, but
yeah.
those happen, and
Yeah.
you just keep going.
I don't want you nodding off on the show like the
No,
defendant
no,
nodding
I
off
don't
in
think
court.
so. There's only 6 minutes left, so I
When
think I
did
can make
you're
6 minutes.
supposed to tell the time? You just breaking all the talk show rules. Okay, so this is another thing. Since we only got a few more minutes, and I thought this was just like, so I don't even know if I would call it ironic. All that stuff that people in Texas are going through. They're having terrible floods, and they can be a lot of the people, the politicians can be very racist, and they hate immigrants coming over here, and other people over here saying, why are you letting them come over here? Because they'll do the work. They say our workers don't want to, pick
Well, I
grapes.
mean, that's part of how society has changed, though.
Okay, well, this is what I thought was just kind of, I don't know what I thought about this, but I'm like, did you know? And if you didn't, did you know that the state of Texas, with all their buttoned up conservative ways, have 6 nude beaches? See,
No.
clutch my pearls. I got my diamonds on today. Clutch my pearls. They said, wait, I gotta read because this was just like the craziest thing to me. It says 2 Texas nude beaches make up top 12 U.S. list. Is strutting around in the buff even legal? They said that as the summer heats up, this is from Yahoo News. As the summer heats up, Texans strip down, literally. Did you know there are 6 new Texas beaches to choose from? Here's what you need to know to choose wisely.
To choose wisely about.
Where you gonna be
Okay.
naked at? Okay, so it says if this is something that sparks your interest, because some people do like being in the buff. I've always said if I didn't have to wear a bra, I wouldn't. I said there are 6 nude beaches in Texas to choose from. What you need to know, if this is something that sparks your interest, you wouldn't be breaking the law.
Okay.
In Texas, the indecent exposure law states that nudity is only judged as indecent if you expose your genitalia to another for the purpose of sexually arousing. Shut up, mother. But they're
Okay,
gonna.
so if you arouse them sexually, then it's
That's
against the law.
yeah, that's
But
a
if
good.
you just naked and they see you naked, okay, well, wait
If
a
you're
minute.
not arousing anybody, I wouldn't make it on a nude beach. It says indecent exposure only covers genitalia. Okay, when I saw this, I said, so do my breasts, is that part of the genitalia? Was it the one down south? And they said indecent exposure only covers genitalia, meaning women's breasts are deemed decent. If the exposure is not intended to arouse someone, then it is not considered
Okay, so
in.
what's the purpose of being naked? Just
Okay,
because you can.
well, if you just not trying to expose anybody, okay. If I took my bra off and I got a sarong on, just tied around the bottom, and I could just walk around and just be flopping away. Oh yeah, I walk around without a bra. Who's gonna be able to tell at my age? I'm just saying. They're sitting almost on my knees, and so I just want you to know that the closest nude beach in North Texas would be Hippie Hollow Park.
Hippie Hollow Park.
Hippie Hollow Park. It's just about 3 hours away from Fort Worth. I'm like,
Oh,
really?
okay. So in the southern part of Texas, that's the southern part.
Uh-huh. But who would have thunk? Who would have thunk that in the state of Texas, you could go to a nude beach, and I guess because they got open carry laws, right? In Texas. So you could
Yes, yes,
around
they do. Yes,
walk
yes, they
around butt
do.
naked with your gun strapped on your shoulder, a gun strapped around your waist, and you don't have to have underwear and panties on. But if you got the underwear and panties off and your gun is there, somebody say, "Ooh, look at that gun. Is it me or are you happy to see me?" You could see everything and you get around. So then I want to know who are the people that go across the beaches and say, okay, you got to cover up. That's indecent. You don't have to cover up. You can leave your chi-chis out. You cover up. We can't even see it, so we don't even care. I mean, who is the indecent exposure police? That's what I wanted to know. That's
Good
just,
question.
I'm,
That's a good question.
I mean, there's some stuff that I have I work to try to understand it. And at the beginning of the conversation, I was talking about the fact that so many people are finding it difficult to retire in the United States because
Yes,
there's not enough
yes,
money at the end of their month. And they're, going, what do we always say? Robbing Peter to pay Paul.
yes.
They got a handful of gimme and a mouthful of much obliged. And they don't have enough to retire on. I mean, the houses out here are ridiculous. We from Cleveland, and somebody I was talking to, who was I talking to? It'll come to me. She was saying, it'll come to me. She was saying, girl, I know who it was. I know who it was. I ain't gonna call her name, but nonetheless, okay, she bought her first house, and she said that the housing cost has gone up so much in Ohio that if she didn't get her house at the time she got it, she wouldn't be able to afford it. A lot of people
Well,
can't
the
afford
interest rate
it.
change, and that makes a big difference.
Right. And then when you got to have first month's rent, last month's rent, a deposit to match last month's rent, and don't have a pet because then you got to pay a pet fee, and if you got to, all these other kind of things. One of the things I always said was, we lived in a gated community before. I would never want to live in another gated community. No, I don't want to live someplace where I have to pay. Now I'm paid all this money for the house. Now I gotta pay to be in the house, to be in this whatever it is.
And if
What
you
is
don't want to be bothered with other people, that's why you live in a gated community. So
okay? Well,
you
see,
can limit your accessibility.
right, but I see for me, my issue was okay. We had the house built from the ground up. Okay, so we knew what was going on. That's a whole nother saga of the life at the big camp. And when you come in there and you see what they've done, I mean, they put our old house. I shouldn't call it old; it was new. Put it up on the market for like a ridiculous price. And she was saying that when she bought her house, that if she was looking in the housing market now, she couldn't afford it. And she has a great job. She's still a young woman. And you think about the parents out here who are, working for minimum wage, and everybody fussing about, the price of the food at a fast food restaurant is going up because the workers are getting paid way more money, way more money. Even $20 an hour.
Well, to yes, wait a minute. Can't blame it. Wait a minute. Now they at $20 an hour. If you've been in a fast food restaurant lately, the
Sticker shock.
prices reflect. Prices reflect.
I'm
So
glad I
yeah,
cook.
but so yes, yes, they should make more money, but it's gonna cost you more money to eat out.
Well, see, that's why you learn to cook. And all these cooking shows and
Well, if
all
you if you learned how to cook, wait a minute, if you learned how to cook, then what good would it be for you to
everybody's not going to want to learn to cook. They're not going to want to
okay?
learn to cook. They're like, it's easier to go. One of my girlfriends raised all of her children on fast food. When you went into her house, she'd have a bucket, empty bucket of the fried chicken and another bucket from another fried chicken place. And she got the sub place. And I'm like, when do you cook? I'm like, what about the holidays? And her kids said, we coming over your house, mother love, because you could cook. Mama can't cook. Mama cannot cook. And
Tell the truth, shame the devil.
from a big family. I got another girlfriend. Her kids would say, because they all grown now, her kids would say, this is the only time we get a really good home cooked meal when we come over your house for Thanksgiving. And I was like, that's not the case. And the kids go, and I was asking their mother, I said, they just BSing, right? They were like, she was like, no, they telling you the truth straight
Tell the
up.
truth, shame the
And
devil.
the devil. And I was talking about, the uh how people can't it's becoming more difficult to retire here in the United States. Well, I've been doing some research on Italy, so you can't retire in the US. Many Americans are choosing this country instead, and it's Italy. They have a lower cost of living. They said that 1/5 of adults 50 and older have no retirement savings, and more than half, 61%, are worried they won't have enough money to pay the bills in retirement. So now you got to look at, well, where can we live and still live a comfortable life, and everything is not being sucked up in taxes and, sucked up in property, and to do things. That's why I think it's important that people learn to cook. And there's no reason why anybody anywhere does not want to learn how to cook. You know what's in the food, you know what the ingredients are, you put not putting in additives and preservatives in it. So even if you don't know how to cook, this is my suggestion for my babies today. Learn to cook. And see, I'm telling you, and a lot of people learned to cook during the pandemic. I remember one of my friends said, if I make one more loaf of bread, mother love, I'm just going to throw this. I was like, don't throw it out the window, just give it to me. Let me have it. I'll make good use of it. That's it. So I just want to thank you all for paying attention. Make sure you tell your friends to download us, listen to us. You can catch us on Restream. You can catch us on Facebook. You can catch us on TikTok, YouTube, Spreaker.
Who's your guest for tomorrow?
Oh, you asking me some questions? Wait a minute. I don't have a clipboard. Let me tell you. It's gonna be somebody fun. Whoever it is.
Okay.
It's gonna
All
be
right.
fun. Well, it's a pleasure. Just know you can download us and listen to our point of view as we observe and report. Know that we love you. And I want to tell you this. No matter how big or small, short or tall, thick or thin, it matters not what skin you're in. Everybody needs some mother love now and then, and even some Mr. Kennedy.